Hi, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of The Locker Room. I'm Eliza Kravitz, and I am pleased to be joined by head coach of the Hofstra Pride women's basketball team, Danielle Santos Atkinson. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So now a couple of weeks ago, the NBA players boycotted their games and encouraged other sports leagues to do the same to bring attention to the social injustice in our country and to help bring change to our nation. What were your thoughts being in the basketball community and seeing these athletes use their platform to speak up and force change?
I thought, I really was proud of those athletes and making that decision and to do that. I know it was really tough for a lot of people to understand, and there were a lot of people that got upset with that decision. But what it did was spark a conversation that possibly would not have been had on that type of level. And so being able to do that, again, people say, well, it's just basketball, it's just sports, we should just play sports, but I think there's a responsibility. And when you have athletes and you have people with those type of platforms, when they're able to use them in a positive way in order to bring attention to different topics or different things that need the attention, and one such as this, the injustices in our country, I think it was great for them to do that.
Now, looking at the side of the WNBA, they just came out and decided to dedicate their season to Bianca Taylor. What were your thoughts when you heard that news?
I think the WNBA has done a phenomenal job, and not just this year in 2020 and past years. They have always spoken up, and they've always had a voice when it came to different topics within our community. And I think they do a great job. They've always been one to not shy away from the criticism that they receive. And again, they're using their platform in a positive way. And I think all of them coming together and showing that unity amongst the different teams, amongst the different players. I really thought that was a very bold statement for them to do that.
And then just sort of looking at your team and them seeing everything that's gone on with the NBA, the WNBA, have you seen it kind of spark inspiration in your team?
Yes, our team has been very inspired. They've been very passionate and very vocal about the injustices, the police brutality. They've definitely done a great job of not only having a voice, but also putting action behind their voice. And so they've come together. We've had great conversation. We've had difficult conversation. We've had our athletes share their experiences. And it's also been forums of education and forums of again, as I said, an opportunity to share and release some of their feelings and emotions that they've had bottled up. And it's also been a place for us as a staff and as coaches to be able to help them work through that and to be able to help them, give them different tools or whatever it is to help them continue to cope and continue to act in a way as they should.
Now, what can you do with your team kind of around campus to kind of spark that conversation here at Hofstra and make a change here on Hofstra's campus?
Hofstra, I think, has done a good job of having different forums within our athletic department. Just again, to be able to continue the conversation, to be able to have a place of education to where there's understanding, where there's empathy, where people are able to share their experiences, and also a place where people are able to listen and figure out how can I help and how can I be an ally. For our team and some of the action of the student athletes, there is an organization that the student athletes of color here at Hofstra are looking to form. And I think it's going to be great. And they're looking, again, to use their platform in order to educate, but also create a group to allow the athletes of color to come together and to have a safe space to have discussion, but also to create programming that's going to, bring different speakers to campus. It's gonna have events that will help, again, unite the athletes as well as the students on campus.
Now, seeing the young females on your team kind of come together in this time to fight for social justice, does that spark inspiration in yourself to do the same?
For sure. We have always, myself and our staff, we're always pushing for positive change within our country, within our community, within our campuses, within our athletic departments. That's something that we've always done anywhere that we've been. And so to see them have that same passion and to be able to drive and continue that momentum the way that they are. It's definitely been great as a coach to see and to watch, and all we want to do is continue to foster that and continue to help motivate them and encourage them however we can to continue that, and then also be a resource and a support here to help them however we can with the things that they're looking to do.
You talked a little bit about your role here as a coach. Now, you're the only head coach of color here at Hofstra University, as well as being a female. Do you take pride in that?
I do. With that comes a lot of responsibility. For me, for our team and our players on our team, I want them to be able to see a woman of color holding leadership positions. And that's something that we want them to strive for. And I want to make sure that they see that that can be done. Also within our athletic department, there's, and on campuses and in our society, in our community, there's racial biases subconsciously and consciously that people don't know that they have, that attributes to the decisions that they make and possibly the things that they say. And so for me, I want to make sure that I am carrying myself in a way that people understand who a woman of color is and what that's like, and that the stereotypes are not as such. And so I want to make sure day in and day out that again, that people know that I am easy to work with. I am going to work with a level of expectation, that I'm going to carry myself in a professional manner, that I'm going to build and develop relationships, and that we're going to take care of everybody within our program, and that we're going to be here to serve our campus and our community as well.
Now, looking in the world of sports, and you talked about a lot about racial bias, have you seen it progress, stay the same, get worse? How throughout your lifetime, how have you seen it, especially in the world of sports?
In the world of sport, I think one of the things that's great is you have so many people that come together from all different backgrounds, from all different parts of the world, parts of the country, different socioeconomic statuses, and they come together and they're working for one common goal on a team. And so I think in sport, it's a great teacher, and there's so many lessons that you can learn within a sports team, because you have to have somebody's back. You have to be there for them regardless of race, color, creed. You're part of a team, and you guys are working towards one common goal. Throughout my lifetime, again, I think this time right now is a time where people are willing to listen. People are willing to have the hard conversations. And hopefully, once we continue to work through a lot that we're working through, we'll see a lot of positive change come out of it. But again, some of these things are deep rooted. Some of these things go very far back. And until we can all come together and have a willingness to continue to, understand different point of views, put yourself in people's shoes, and educate ourselves, then we do have a long way to go.
Now, growing up and in your life currently, what were sort of the biggest challenges you faced being a female, but also a person of color, whether it was in your regular life or in your sports life?
Always, you're always looking to be your best. But there's also times that you feel you have to be not only your best, but better than. There's times where you feel as though your best is not always going to be looked at as good enough, because maybe you're a woman or because you are a person of color. And so you're always looking to strive and exceed whatever the expectations are in every single circumstance. That's something that you have to do. I have to walk into this situation. I have to not only be my best, but I have to exceed every single expectation that there is in the room. The way you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room, the confidence that you have to have in order to carry yourself through different situations. You have to do that. You've got to be comfortable in your own skin. You've got to be comfortable having a voice and speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable. And you've got to be willing to develop the relationships and again, have hard conversations with people to be able to work through any tough situation. But I think that's definitely some of the things that I've learned throughout life and throughout my career, is you have to continue to, again, build those relationships, get to know people, but then also be willing for me to be a part of that education when people are willing to have that conversation.
Now, taking everything that you've learned throughout your life with your young kids, what's your biggest advice to them as they start to grow up in this generation?
For my daughters right now, especially with them being young, we are trying to instill in them the utmost self-confidence that they can possibly have. I think it all starts there. If you can be comfortable in who you are, regardless of what that is, red, yellow, white, black, then that's a great starting point. The other thing that we always want to teach them is that they're going to love and respect everybody. My daughter has not met a stranger, and every single person she comes across is her friend. And I love that, and I appreciate that about her, and I want her to continue that. And I don't want her to ever, either of them, I don't want them to ever come across anybody that makes them feel different. So for us, we're continuing to teach them that you're going to respect everybody, you're going to love everybody, and you're going to appreciate everything that you're afforded in life.
Now, what's your biggest advice to people that just want to learn about the topic, educate themselves to be able to best talk about it with other people, but also so that they're most informed about the subject?
Yeah, there is a willingness of people to share information, and there's a wealth of education out there. And so if people want to learn, if they want to be allies, just reaching out, just having a conversation with a person of color, with anybody that they feel is going to help educate them. They can talk to not only people of color, but also people that have shown great allyship, and they can talk to them. And why are you doing this? Why do you feel this is a good thing? But also the education. There's so many books. There's so many movies. There's so many things out there for people to have a better understanding of the history and have a better understanding of the different systemic things and the different things that have gone on in our country that attribute to part of why we are where we are right now. And so I think having those hard conversations, being willing to put yourself in an arena and in an atmosphere where you're able to learn, they say listen and not so quick to speak. That's where you want to be. You want to surround yourself with people, and that are gonna help you understand and help educate you, as well as go and educating yourself.
Now, sort of going off of that, what kind of advice would you give to someone who has family or friends who are a little bit more stubborn, not willing to listen or to change their views? What kind of advice would you give to them in trying to talk to them and educate their family or friends on the subject?
Yeah, we've had these conversations amongst our team and some different groups and panels that I've been a part of. And that's a very tough situation when you have somebody that is willing to open and to be open and listen and understand and have a better understanding of what's going on. And you have people that are very close to you that are not willing to make that same change, that are not willing to listen. I say, don't give up. Don't give up. It is something that is going to be ongoing, and it's something that is so important. And when those two things come together, you don't give up. And so just continue to share, just continue to drop little nuggets of information. You can't force somebody to read a book, but you can present them with the opportunity to do so. You can't force somebody to study or watch a movie, but you can present them with the opportunity to do so. So I say, don't give up. And just continue to, in subtle ways, just give information and suggestions as to how they can help, how you can help them understand another side of things.
Now, lastly, what is your final message that you want to tell our listeners and our viewers who have decided to listen to our show today and take that leap to listen to our conversation?
I say, put yourself again in a space where you can learn, open your mind and be willing to listen and have the hard conversations. There's things that we believe. There's things that we take as fact. But you got to go out there and you've got to learn. You got to educate yourself. Don't believe everything you read on social media. Go out there and find the information for yourself. Read the books and dive into the different resources that have been put out there as educational tools, so that you can learn. Have conversations with people that you trust, and be willing to be vulnerable. Nobody is perfect, and nobody is saying that some of the things that we believe them because we were taught. But it's never too late to relearn and to learn something different. And to come out of it with a different viewpoint and a better understanding.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. We appreciate you coming on the show and making sure that, like you said, we continue to have these conversations.
Thank you for having me.